Good morning, Coalition of Concerned Republicans. Oh my goodness. It is going to be another hot day here in the studio. My name is Mike Levine. I'm here with my colleague Chuck Benoit. We are restoring our American Republic, and today we're going to get into the school district, Lake County School District, and we're going to talk about the referendum that's going to be on the ballot in November, asking Lake County voters to increase the school millage from 0.75 mils to one full millage point, while at the same time on your ballot, there will be a referendum to effectively abolish property taxes in the state of Florida, except school taxes, right? So that's kind of an interesting little dichotomy. And while I was at the South Lake Chamber of Commerce Public Policy Committee this morning, hearing from School District 3 Representative Mark Dodd, Chuck was digging into the referendum. So let's bring Chuck on and let's get him to kind of warm us up on his takeaway from the referendum. Chuck, what do you think?
Well, yeah, yeah, there are a few things going on. I guess maybe we can start out with the county commission vote, which was 3-1 on Friday to actually propose the 1 mil property tax for Lake County. Our commissioner
Chuck,
Anthony,
do you know who didn't vote?
um, I do know someone didn't vote. Well, I think it was Timothy Morris.
Tim Morris was absent,
Yeah, he
or he.
Yeah, he attended virtually. This says and but didn't vote.
Mhm.
And Anthony Sabatini was the one lone no vote. So
Wow.
yeah, so that's
Wow.
that
To
kind of
be
tells
expected, right?
yeah, that tells me exactly what we would
Unbelievable.
have expected. Yeah.
I'll tell
Um,
you what. Let's go, man.
okay, so if the voters actually pass this, it would kick in on July 1st of 2027. And there's a 4-year expiration date on it. So it would automatically expire 4 years from now, which I guess if I counted the numbers, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, somewhere around 2031, it would just
That's correct.
expire unless something happened. Yeah.
Right.
So, I kept looking for, okay, well, the first thing that I read was that the added revenue would go toward boosting teachers' pay and shoring up school safety and mental health support. So what that kind of told me in my head was, okay, teachers' pay and kids' safety and kids' mental health support. So it's both a student and a teacher and a student buyout, payout. And then the next thing I read was that 80% of the newly generated funds would go directly toward instructional employees' salary, which I guess is a little different than teacher salary, but I'm not sure how much. While
Agreed.
20%, right, while 20% would support health insurance benefits. So I'm trying to think, oh, well, it's not the kids' health insurance, so it's the teacher. So this is not a teacher
And it could be
plus,
administrative staff too.
yeah, whatever. It's not student. And then
That was
finally,
pretty ambiguous.
in a third
Go ahead.
place, I read the current 0.75 mil rate already helps funding existing safety programs, and those would remain in place. So I guess the good news is adding the extra money is not going to reduce the safety of kids and those programs. But the new revenue would be for compensation and retention. So that tells me that all of this 0.25 mil rate is going to teachers, has nothing to do with students. The students are been kind enough to have allowed the current existing safety programs to stay in effect. Pretty nice of them.
That's a lot but I'm telling you something. Mark Dodd went into it in more detail this morning in front of this public policy committee at the chamber. And so now, number one, after the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas school shooting, um, there was a 1 point millage rate increase in Lake County for the schools that was dedicated to having a armed police officer on every school campus, which they now have and pay for. Okay, there's point number one. Point number two, they are implementing, they want a program where students who get suspended from school do on-campus suspension because they get behind in their academic studies if they don't go to school. So if a kid breaks a rule and gets suspended, the kid is still going to have to come to school because they don't want the child to get behind in the studies. So that means they have to have another teacher to teach the suspended children, right? So that's another piece of it on their mental health. We heard this morning. So that's that. Okay. And then, of course, Mark also reported that Livestream Behavioral Center, who typically gets about $1 million a year from Tallahassee as it is, they're also a key player in the whole solution to the mental health situation in public schools, Chuck. So I'm not, I mean, as long as I've been on the scene, right, since let's just say, again, I joined the Republican Executive Committee in 2010. So it wasn't too long after that I learned about Livestream Behavioral Center, and I started wondering, why are we giving these people money? And of course, our existing, keep in mind that was in 2010, but that's when Leslie Campione and Sean Parks got elected to the Board of County Commissioners, and I got the whole story about why it was important to give Livestream Behavioral Center public money. And I heard the same story today. But according to these bureaucrats, mental health is getting worse, not better, as judged by the school shootings. So, and then we can get into, Chuck, at some point, we're going to have to get into the universal school choice component too. But let me kick this back over to you. Let's just say that we have public, school safety, mental health, et cetera, covered. Can we agree? Can we move on?
Okay, sure.
Or do you have more to add?
No, we're good.
Okay. So what do you want to talk about next? Or do you want to talk about universal school choice?
Well, we can do that. I'll just throw out some numbers here. The supporters of the increase basically say that this would help give a steadier stream of local money in order to keep salaries competitive and reduce teacher turnover. So the question is there that much teacher turnover? And then, of course, the projected increase would be anywhere from $9 to $10 million increased revenues for teacher salaries, and I guess insurance.
Mark Dodd reported this morning that 90% of highly productive teachers in Lake County are retained year over year. So I don't think retention is a problem. Can you agree?
Well, with those numbers, doesn't sound
That's
like
what he
it,
said.
no.
Exactly, right. But he did tell us that starting pay for teachers is $49,500 in Lake County. He tells us that Orange County starts teachers at, he wasn't absolutely certain about the number, but he said 52,000. And he says that Sumter County starts at 58,000. And keep in mind that there is a pretty complicated formula by which the state of Florida funds public schools in Florida on a per student basis. And I brought up in the meeting today about cost of living. So cost of living in Lake County is a big factor in how much money we get from the state. Is that correct? Mark says, yes, there's a lot of other things, but that is a major factor, right? So basically, because household income in Lake County lags behind the state average, then of course, cost of living lags behind the state average. So that means that school per capita school funding lags behind the state average. And of course, teacher pay lags behind the state average. So, that's kind of par for the course. What do you think, Chuck?
Yeah, it sounds like that's not necessarily the problem. The teachers' salaries isn't so much the problem as what happens to these kids after they leave. Yeah, another point regarding teacher salaries. This particular article was talking about is Seminole County bumped their starting salary to about 50,000. So that's really only like 500 a year over what
Mm.
Lake County proposed. So that, why would
And that's
that?
not a hard number, right?
Yeah,
That's not even a hard number.
well, that's true
So our
too.
49.5 could be included.
Yeah, well, again, that's 49.5 is Lake County, Seminole
Pretty
County
approximate.
starting salary is
Mhm.
50. Or this is what
Okay, that's a
it's
hard number
saying.
then. So they're 500 bucks above us. But let
Somewhere
me tell you
around there,
something,
yeah.
Chuck. Let me tell you what always is missing from these conversations, all of these conversations, okay? We take a look at all of our public employees and we want them to live lives of luxury and reality. That's what we want. You know, they show up at 9 in the morning or roughly, right? They work until about 4. They get all their holidays off. They get a benefits package that is far greater than any private benefits package. And then you take a look out, and if you take just compare and contrast, juxtapose is kind of the fashionable word, right? Juxtapose the lifestyle of private sector citizens in Lake County compared to government employees' lifestyle. And like in the meeting this morning, a couple of people piped up and they said, "Hey, I've got a friend of mine who's been a 25-year long public schools teacher, and she tends bar on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays to make more money because she doesn't make enough money." Okay, how many other people in Lake County work 2 jobs? I would say most, right? And then another guy said, "Well, I have a friend of mine who's a school teacher. She drives Uber to make some extra money." Okay, you know, I'm telling you, Chuck. I mean, let's just look at it like this. Starting pay is 49,500, right? Mark Dodd told us this morning that top pay for the highest paid school teacher, and we're talking base salary here, is 58,000, right? And I learned that these with their performance bonuses, a top producing teacher can make $95,000 a year in Lake County. Okay, that's pretty good if you're dedicated to your craft and of course, there are some non-merit based components in the compensation formula that makes it difficult for new teachers to compete to earn at that level, and I think that should be fixed, right? Um, but when you look around and see how the average private sector citizen in Lake County lives, I don't think the teachers live much different than that. So you're saying, and then again, Chuck, we haven't even gotten into the whole economic development conversation that we're about to get into, right?
Yeah, we are.
Okay, so I'm going to let you drive this conversation to the next topic.
Okay,
We just got done, just basically, we just did a juxtaposition of private sector employment quality in Lake County compared to government in general and specifically teachers. And then you can lop in the rest of the administrative school board that gets a $1.2 billion budget, Chuck.
yeah. Um, okay, so let me just kind of, I guess, let's just make this point here. The ballot language calls for an independent oversight body to review how the money is being spent, obviously, if the supporters approve it.
If voters approve the referendum.
Right.
Right. Again, how many layers of this crap do you want? You know what I mean? I mean, if you again, it's a sad story. And again, keep in mind the people on the oversight board will be hand selected and there'll be people that are friendly to the school district and everything will be freaking lovely. Right, Chuck?
Right. Just trying to check.
That's the way I see it.
Oh, what happened here?
Uh-oh.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Hit a wrong
I,
button.
I think you're pitching Robin Lum in the stream there. That's okay.
I don't
Don't
know
worry
what
about it. Let's
happened
just
there. Sorry.
continue.
Hit a
Just
wrong
continue.
button. We just had a comment. I wanted to check it out. It's a little bit long. So I took myself off the screen and then messed up getting myself
Mhm.
back on.
Okay, well, here we
So
go.
yeah. So where were we?
We were talking about the difference between the quality of life of private sector employment and public employment, including school teachers here in Lake County.
Right, and what we find is that there's literally nothing going on here in Lake County if you're not an employee of the county or an employee of the hospital association, something like that,
Or the school district,
or
right? I mean, the
the school
top two
district.
employers in Lake County, Publix grocery stores are in the top 5. employers in Lake County. But the school district's number one and the sheriff's department is number two. Right? I mean, there is no private sector in Lake County. And let me just tee off on this a little bit, Chuck. Ever since I've been involved in politics here in Lake County, I've heard from our leadership, and I'm just going to call them out, Leslie Campione, Sean Parks, 16 years in public office. And I've been hearing that we're building the manufacturing base in Lake County since day one. Well, I asked the committee this morning, does anybody see a significant increase in manufacturing jobs in Lake County for as long as you've been around? And all these people, Chuck, have been around. And there was like, I don't know how many in the room, but at least 15 stakeholder types in the room. People have been here a very long time with very inside seat on everything. No one in the room could say that they've seen a significant increase in manufacturing jobs or any other kind of job. Okay. So while we have veteran commissioners running for their fifth term who are running on increasing manufacturing in Lake County, and they've been at this for 16 years and there is no increase. I mean, when do you call it quits, Chuck?
Or when do you start giving us what it is that they've promised us? I mean, really, you do look around.
Not going to happen.
And you
Not
wonder.
going to happen, Chuck.
You
It's
just
not going to
wonder.
happen.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now. And I'm saying another thing to you, Chuck. I just want to make another point. Okay. That Lake County, this is the way this rolls. Okay. We've done previous broadcasts where we said that the state committee woman for the Republican Executive Committee served for 40 years. The state committee man served for 40 years. The property appraiser before Kerry Baker served for 36 years. The supervisor of elections served for 50 years. Kerry Baker served 10 years in the Florida House, 12 years as a property appraiser. The same people have been running this county all this time. And in my opinion, Chuck, the results suck. Household income lags behind the state average in the most beautiful county in Florida. How do you not take responsibility for that, Chuck?
Well, that's a good question. And of course, if the electorate isn't paying any attention, then certainly it's hard to accept the fact that we're getting exactly what we are asking for.
If you don't mind, Chuck, I made the point. I said, okay, in the meeting this morning, I said, okay, so the algorithm that determines school funding for the various counties isn't working for Lake County, right? Yes, everyone agreed. So is our legislative delegation aggressively lobbying the Speaker of the House and the President of the Senate and the governor to change the formula so that Lake County can compete on teacher salaries? Answer, no. So I just said, ladies and gentlemen, it looks to me like our Lake County legislative delegation needs to get tougher. Anybody disagree? No one disagrees. Okay? Right. Yeah. So there's two things, Chuck. The entire committee, does anyone here seen any significant increase in manufacturing in Lake County for as long as you've been around? Anybody? Zero. How many of you guys think that our legislative delegation needs to get a lot tougher in Tallahassee and do better for the Lake County School District? Right? Everybody agreed that the delegation needs to get tougher. Yet, we elect these people over and over and over again. It is disgusting.
Yeah. Well, one of the last things that I have just noted as I went through the couple of articles, that there are county documents that lay out the advertising requirements, hearing schedule, and ballot language deadlines that the commission must meet to keep the referendum on track. So that's telling me that there's still work to be done in order to even get it on the ballot.
Okay. Well, whether they do or don't, I don't really care whether it gets on the ballot or not. I'm not going to vote for it. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to vote for it, Chuck.
Okay.
I mean, to be honest with you, there's no audit, Chuck. Did we talk about audit yet? We haven't even talked about audits yet, have we?
We can talk a little bit about audits if you like. You
Yeah,
did ask that question.
I asked Mark this morning, hey, Mark, is the Lake County School District audited? And he gave me a list of audits that the school district goes through. Oh, they check and make sure that we make efficient use of our school buses and we check for this and we check for that. But Mark, is there a comprehensive audit for the school district to tell us whether we make efficient use of our money? No, there isn't. So without an audit, without a comprehensive audit from business people who have sharp pencils, okay, that says this is a proper use of our money, and Mark praised the chief financial officer of the school district, which I have no idea whether the chief financial officer of the school district does a good job or not, but we're dealing with $1.2 billion. And you're telling me that we can't give a raise to, and I remember when the salaries went to 49.5. Okay. I mean, it was $3,000 increase or something like that from what they were paying before. But I'm telling you, Chuck, any business person with a lick of sense whatsoever would find money in that. Believe me, this is not hard to do. Okay. This is not hard to do. I guarantee you that that $10 million is the target amount. Can you agree? That's the target amount. There's $10 million in that budget. Easy. On 1.2 billion? Chuck, what's the percentage? 10,000 divided by 1.2 billion.
Give me a
Can you do
second.
that real quick? Or you want me to do it?
I can do it.
I'm telling you, that's a really small number, right?
10,000.
And you want to get it from 10,000 divided by 1.2 billion. 10 million, forgive me. 10 million. Give me the percent.
Yeah, gave me the wrong number up front, so I'll just leave another one off here.
Has to be a good number, Chuck. Count those decimal points.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm trying to do here.
Okay, it doesn't matter. Let's move on. I don't want to burn this much daylight.
Yeah,
But it's a small number. Maybe somebody will put it in the chat.
there you
Right?
go.
Yeah, somebody put it in the chat. Tell us what the percentage, 10 million divided by 1.2 billion. It's like infants, right?
Infantile, right?
I mean, you can't find 10
Non-existent.
mil in a $1.2 billion budget to raise your teachers' salaries. I call BS on that.
There we
Okay.
go. Yeah, again, going back to this, yeah, I guess maybe they're concerned about, the property tax referendum, but that has nothing to do with school taxes. I don't know why.
I got to tell you, Chuck, I get more disgusted every time I look at these type of things, right? These people make honestly and truly, there is zero accountability on taxpayer money in Lake County, Florida, in my opinion. Zero. Mhm.
So, another thing that we chatted about earlier is the idea that after I think we were talking about the difference between industry certification versus college certification, and the idea that when these kids graduate, they can't even stay here in Lake County. They've got to go somewhere else.
Exactly. That's true. It's interesting. I was talking to the membership chair, very nice lady over at the South Lake Chamber. And that's how I got involved in this policy committee. I started with her. Her kids are medical people, doctors, right? Getting advanced medical degrees. And she wants her kids to live in Lake County near her. Of course, she doesn't, no parent wants not many parents want their kids to leave town and leave away from them. And I'm like, well, okay, well, tell me, what do you think who is the best employer in Lake County for your kids who are graduating college with advanced medical degrees? And she had to draw a blank. And I said, well, there you go. You're making my point. Your kids, if they want to stay here next to their family, their mom, then they're going to take a significant sacrifice in pay because we don't have jobs like that in Lake County. So I'm saying to you, and this is a conversation we had this morning, that when Mark was saying, and kudos to the school district, okay, that a higher number of students are graduating either in dual enrollment, getting college credits while they're in high school, or they're getting industry certifications. So I asked Mark, I said, hey, Mark, after the students graduate with industry certifications, do they stay here in Lake County or do they go work in other counties or other states? And he had no idea, which is fine. I understand. I get that. But a representative from the county was on the call too. So Mark says, let's have her answer the question. she didn't answer, she couldn't answer the question. So I'm saying to you, I'm just telling you that our top students, the more money we pour in, first of all, the money gets spent at the top of the food chain, not at the bottom. So the top 15% of the students, that's where the funds are allocated. And when we graduate them, they can't find suitable employment in Lake County, Florida. So my statement to the committee this morning was, this is an economic development problem, not a school district problem. If we had a thriving economy here, then yes, the cost of living would be higher, but so would salaries. And therefore, the formula that funds school districts on a per student basis would allocate more money to Lake County. So if we want more, here's the takeaway. If we want more money in Lake County schools, we have to improve the economy, which is what, Chuck? Median household income families. Okay? That is, and nobody's focusing on that because the people who call the shots are not median household income people. They are elites. But you know what, Chuck? The price you pay for that, your kids move away.
There you go. Well, we did get a message here that 10 million based percentage of 1.2 billion is 1.25%. Now,
1%?
1.25, that's from Shire.
1.2. So that's 1.25%. I'll have to recheck that number.
1.25. I mean, I think that might be high. She might have missed
I think it's,
a zero somewhere,
there's another,
but
I think you got to
1.2.
push that decimal point over another one or two. Okay. But we'll know in a little bit. Forgive me for not, having those. I typically can do these math things pretty quick on the top of my head, but for some
Well,
reason, 10
thank you,
million
Shire,
divided by
for giving us a
1.2
shot.
billion. Thank you, Shire. We really appreciate that. Yeah, exactly. But so I'd like to tell you that I could just do 10 million divided by 1.2 B and give you the right decimal position, but I guess I'm just not that with it this morning.
No, I don't know if I'd be with it, period. I'd have to sit there and count those zeros more consistently. But so
I have
anyway,
a bad habit of putting decimal points in the wrong places. But
there you
hey,
go.
what are you
There you
gonna do?
go.
That's why I have a calculator and an Excel spreadsheet. Right. I love Excel. My favorite tool in the planet.
Yeah, so I guess we're not necessarily excited about this rate increase. You have to read everything before you come to realize that all of this money is going to go to teachers' salaries. None of it's going to the students in any way, shape, or form, but they are very kind in allowing the this the programs that are helping the students are not going to get cut back. So that's probably
You know what, Chuck? Here's the bottom line, Chuck. Given the school district, another $10 million is going to have no impact on the schools. I mean, they're basically the argument they're making, the singular argument they're making is if you give us $10 million more money, we will recruit better teachers. Okay. And I don't know. I don't think that holds water. So, for example, let's assume that you could take a starting teacher from 49,500 up 3,000, right? Keep in mind, there's 3,000. That's a good number, actually. There's 3,000 teachers. So if you raise their pay, they'd be at 52.5, right? And that's fine. I get it. But for me personally, I don't believe that a $3,000 a year rate increase is going to bring you a significantly different teacher pool. And I'd also like to give some credit to the teachers we have. It's honestly and truly, there's so much that can be done to improve the performance of our school. Well, our schools, again, I'm not down on the schools from that point. I think that Superintendent Carnegie has really done a great job of their schools. They're A-rated schools 2 years in a row. That's great. Okay. So the schools are functioning, right? But the problem with the money is that we haven't built an economy in Lake County, Florida. Therefore, we don't get adequate funding from Tallahassee. That's the problem. Our best students, when they graduate, leave Lake County. That's the problem. We have to retain at home. And there's a lot of ways to do that, Chuck. And we could do many, many broadcasts on that subject. What can we actually do to increase median household income in Lake County, Florida? And the answer, in short, Chuck, is to focus on the productivity of the people who live here. We don't have to recruit new businesses in here. We take these kids that are getting these um, industry specific certifications and stuff like that when they graduate, get them on a track to start their own business, right? I mean, small business development in Lake County, is the answer. It's always been the answer. I've always said it was the answer, but nobody's interested. And then you've got this little lead program in Lake County, which we just give them $500,000 a year for lead. Man, I don't see the results from that. So if
There we go.
anybody viewing this thinks that the LEAD program in Lake County, Florida is productive to the tune of a $500,000 a year investment from taxpayers, put it in the freaking chat because I want to know about it. I don't think it is. Chuck?
Okay, so we're finishing up here. Just another quick note. New figure here, not 1.2%, but 0.83%. Calculator
Point.
malfunction, I guess, is what's going on. 0.83%. Mike,
All right.
what I'm gonna do
Less than
here.
1 point.
Yeah,
Less
there you
than
go.
1 point, right? And again, something that frustrates me all the time, Chuck. We talk in percentages, right? Well, you know how many percentages there are available in any calculation? 100.
There
Right.
you go.
So again, let's talk real dollars, right? So the
Yeah,
question is, out of 1.2 billion, can you find 10 million and shove it over to teacher pay? I
there
say
you
you
go.
can.
Okay, well, we are out of time, so why don't you give us a final wrap up?
Ladies and gentlemen, when something is broken, it's broken. And again, I'm a Florida State Seminole, right? And Florida State Seminoles are giving our football coach, Mike Norvell, hell because he's had some really crappy seasons since we brought him on board. And you know what happens to college football teams when their coach doesn't perform? The coach gets fired. They pay the guy $50 million or something after they fire him as a termination fee or whatever is built into his contract. So, ladies and gentlemen, as long as we have the same people running Lake County, Florida, that have always run Lake County, Florida, you're always going to get the results you've always gotten. So I think we need a change of direction here. I think we need some new people in government, eh, either to reduce the size of government, the taxation, which this is an increase in taxation, or to give us a more robust economy and raise median household income families so we have more prosperity in the county, Chuck. And if you continue to let the same people run the county that have been running it all these years, you're going to continue to get the same results, Chuck.
There we go. Well, I thank you very much, Mike Levine, and thank you all for tuning in to our twice weekly live stream. Please follow us on Facebook and X at Restore Our Rep 76. Check us out on YouTube at Restoring Our American Republic ROAR. Please like and share the program. And remember, if you're unwilling to govern yourself, you will be governed by tyrants. Until next time, God bless you, God bless President Donald J. Trump, and God bless America.